Hey y'all, this is Miss Grant going over Lesson 5, Solving Problems by Finding Equivalent Ratios. I'm just going to go over maybe two of these. Both are on your problem set. I've done one of each so that you're able to get some help on that homework. The first one says the ratio of number of people who own a smartphone to the number of people who own a flip phone is 4 to 3. If 500 more people own a smartphone than a flip phone, how many people own each type of phone? So first off, we have to identify what is our ratio, what does each number mean, and draw a type diagram. So our ratio is 4 to 3. It says smartphone to the number of people who own a flip phone, which means that the 4 is our first number. That's going to be our smartphone. I'm going to represent it with an S. And our 3 is the flip phone. I'm going to represent it with an F. So I've identified my ratio, I've identified what the 4 means, smartphones, and the 3 for the flip phone. Now I'm going to draw a tape diagram. So for my smartphone, I'm going to have 4 boxes, and for my flip phone, I'm going to have 3 boxes. I try to draw my boxes as equal as possible. Okay? If our question is if 500 more people own a smartphone than a flip phone, how many people own each type of phone? So we're talking about that 500 more, okay? So we have to look at our smartphones, we have to look for our flip phones. So our smartphones have 4 boxes and our flip phones have 3 boxes. They each have, we can pair up these boxes to figure out how many more boxes the smartphones have versus the flip phone. So these 2 pair up, these 2 boxes pair up, these 2 boxes pair up, which means the smartphones have 1 extra box. This 1 extra box represents that 500 more people that own a smartphone. So now that I know that each box is 500, I have to figure out how many people own each type of phone. Well, this is now easy at this point. Smartphones, I have 500, which is the amount of each box. Amount in each box times 4, which is the number of boxes, we've got 4 times 0 is 0, 0, and 20, so we've got 2,000 people own a smartphone. And then for our flip phone, we're going to take 500, again that's the amount on each box, times 3, because I only have 3 boxes for flip phone, 0, 0, 15, that's 1,500. So 2,000 people own a smartphone, and 1,500, I'm going to run off the page, own a flip phone. Own a flip phone, not too bad. For number 2, it says Sammy and David were selling water bottles to raise money for new football uniforms. Sammy sold 5 water bottles for every 3 water bottles David sold. Together they sold 160 water bottles. How many did each boy sell? First, I need to identify my ratio, what each number means, and then draw a tape diagram. It looks like my ratio, if I look at the wording, I've got 5 water bottles for every 3 water bottles. So I've got 5 to 3. For every is another keyword for ratio. That's why I boxed it in as a keyword. So Sammy sold the 5 water bottles, so I'm going to put S for Sammy, and 3 water bottles that David sold, so 3 is going to be the D for David. I've identified my ratio, 5 to 3. Sammy sold 5 water bottles, and David sold 3. Now I'm going to draw my tape diagram. S for Sammy, he's going to get 5 boxes. And David's going to get 3 boxes. Again, I try to draw my boxes as equal as possible. Alright, so it says together they sold 160 water bottles. How many did each boy sell? So, first off, if we're looking at total, together they sold 160 water bottles. Well, how many boxes do I have together? So the total boxes is going to be the 5 plus 3, which equals 8. So together, these 8 boxes are the same as 160 water bottles. So now I want to figure out, well, how much is one box worth? So I take the 160, I know that's the amount of water bottles, divide it by the number of equal sized boxes here, which is 8 boxes. So I divide it by 8. And if I do my long division just to make sure, because you always want to make sure your math is correct, 8 doesn't go into 1, it does go into 16 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract, you get 0, bring down the 0. Finish out your division. 8 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times 8 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0, so that's 20. So now each box is worth a magical 20 water bottles. So now that I know each box is worth 20, I can figure out how many water bottles Sammy sold and how many David sold. So if we're looking at Sammy, he's got 20, which is the value of each box, times 5 boxes. That's 100 water bottles. And for David, you've got 20, the value of each box, times 3. He only has 3 boxes. That's going to be 60 water bottles. Not too bad. That's number 1 and 2 on lesson 5, solving problems by finding equivalent ratios. If you have any more questions, just let your teacher know.